In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a play efficiency chart. So we have our plays here, and then we want the percentage, and then points per position. So how do we do that? I'm going to show you how just to get the basic scripting right. I'm going to then add some complexity by adding some colors. And then finally, I'm going to show you how you can automate that process a little bit. So first thing I want to do is I've created a bunch of inactive buttons here, put in my play names, and given each play name its own unique button ID. So this one's play_01, 02, 03, 04, and you see the pattern. So what this button ID is going to help us do is when we enter this efficiency button here, when I go into the scripting, what I can do is create a variable, and I'm just going to call it play, and then go equals hashtag, and then in quotation marks, play_01. So we're identifying the name of the button with the button ID play_01, in this case flow. Then I can create my made script, so count every time play was run, and we had either a made 3 or a made 2, where row equals Canterbury Rams possessions. So those are all of my made shots when we ran our play, which in this case is flow. I'm going to copy and paste that, create a total script, and add just here or -2 for our misses, or our missed 3s, or -3. So now these are all of our total shots when we ran play. Now what we can do is create a percentage. Now a percentage equation requires 3 different calculations. The first is the made divided by the total. The second is multiplying that by 100. And then finally, that's why I added this round word at the start. We're going to round it down in case it's 33.3 recurring. We can just bring it down to that 1 decimal point. So I'm going to go (1), and now I've got my percentage. So now that I have my made, my total, and my percentage, what I can do is go show made plus, in quotation marks, a little slash there, plus total. So that's going to give us that visualization of 5-15. I'm then going to add one of these little dividers to separate our efficiency by our percentage, and then go plus our percentage script here, and then plus our percentage sign, because at the moment it doesn't know it's actually a percentage. Finally, what I'm going to do is copy and paste this line here, go show, and then paste, and then just remove the word count. And that's going to give us our video. You saw at the start here, my button type is action and action make movie. So when I add that second line of script without that count syntax, it's going to give us that video. So now when I select execute, we'll have our, I need to make sure I have a capital C there, capital C there. That's a good test to make sure you always have your scripting syntax exactly what's in the timeline. So capital C's, and here's my efficiency now with my percentage. So now that I have my percentage, and if I go into report mode, I'll get the video when I click this button. Capital C. There we go. Now I can do my points per position. So I'm going to copy all of this script here, paste it into here. Now if I want my points per position, the first thing I need to do is get my points. So I'm just going to change this made into a made 2, remove the +3. So now it's just +2. And at the end there, I'm going to say ×2. So it's every time we ran play, we scored a +2, and we're multiplying that by 2 for our points. I'm going to copy and paste that, replace our total here, turn that 2 into a 3, and instead of a 2, we want to change that to 3. Instead of multiplying it by 2, we multiply it by 3. Now we need our total points, which in this case is just going to be our made 2s plus our made 3s. So now we've got all of our points in this variable here ready to go. So now what we need is every time we ran play, so we've got our points per position, so every position. So I'm going to copy this, again paste this down here, change the variable name to total_positions, and just remove the +2, remove the ×2. So now we've counted every time we ran the play, ready for our calculation. So now what we need to do is create a variable called points per position, and we want to round every time we had total points, divide that by our total positions, and we want to round that to just the first decimal point. So now we want to show our points per position. So now when I press execute, we've got 1.1 there. So every time we ran flow, we shot 58.6% for 1.1 points per position. So that's kind of the basic scripting. Here's our efficiency, and here's our points per position. Now the reason that I wanted to add this button ID here, instead of just replacing count play with count flow, is now that we've created this pattern, all I need to change between this button here and this button below it is play 1 to play 2. So you'll see that's the only thing that's changing down the line. Same with here, play 01, and there's play 2. I've also changed some of the spacing, but that's irrelevant to the actual script. So now what if we want to add some color to our script? So we want to say every time it's below 40 it's red, or above 40 and between 50 it's yellow, and above 50 it's green. How do we do that? So I'm going to go back into my efficiency script here. I'm going to add a little breaker here so I can create some more space, and let's get into our colors. So our colors are going to be essentially a bunch of if statements. So I'm going to say if total equals 0, button color, we're going to put white. Button color 100, 100, and 100. So that means if we've got no shots at all, make sure that this button is white. So now our next thing is going to be is if percentage equals 0 and total is larger than 0. So that means that if they've taken shots but they haven't made any, we want it to be button color, and then we want to put red. So it's bad, RGB, so that's our red color. So now our next line of script is going to be if percentage is larger than 0 and percentage is smaller than, let's go, I don't know what I did for these ones. I'm just going to guess, and I think I put 35. We also want that to be button color red. Our next one's going to be if percentage is larger or equal to 35, because at the moment if I just put larger than 35, if the shot efficiency is 35%, then it's not going to be calculated at all. So if percentage is larger or equal to 35 and percentage is smaller than, let's say, 40%, let's go 45%, button color, and let's go yellow. So that's 100, 100, 0, close that off. And then our final one will be if percentage, keep forgetting my $sign there, if percentage is larger than or equal to 45, button color, let's go green. There we go. Now I don't know if I did the exact same percentages as the one below me, but now this means that since it's 58%, so hence it's larger than 45, it's going to be green. Let's see what I did for the other ones. I was a little bit more generous here with my percentages. I did 35 and 50 and above 50, but concept stays the same. The most important one is just making sure you get these first two correct, because you don't want every time they open the screen for all of the buttons to be red because the total is 0, but they haven't taken any shots. Because that red indicates that they shot really badly, but if they took no shots at all, that's not really a fair outcome. So making sure that the total is 0, meaning it's white, and then percentage is 0 and total is greater than 0 and it's red, at least gives the indication to whoever is viewing this output window that if they took shots and they missed them all, it's red, but if they didn't take any shots, it's just white. So now that we have our colors, the last thing I want to show you is automating the play calls coming in. So for example, you might have a bunch of play calls, but you might not have run those during the game. So that means you're just going to get a bunch of zeros. But to eliminate those, so you only see the play calls that you ran during the game, we can use a scripting function called unique string. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to automate every play call that was run in this game. So the first line of script I'm going to put here is instances equals instances where row equals capital C this time, Canterbury Rams, oh I didn't spell it right though, Canterbury Rams possessions. So now I'm pulling every instance in this row, Canterbury Rams possessions. The next line of script I'm going to do is I'm going to put string, unique string, and I'm going to put instances, so I'm identifying that row that I just created. I'm then going to put the group where all my play calls are, so I believe that is called play calls. Let me make sure that that's actually correct. I can check that by just highlighting over one of these and identifying it. So yes, I don't have play calls, I just have play call. And then the final thing I'm going to do is put the first unique label in that group. So I want the first unique label. So I'm going to put 1. What I can then do is go rename string. So what this is going to do, it's going to find the first unique label in the group play call in the row Canterbury Rams possessions. So that is flow, and because of that button ID that I added, it's now automated this efficiency scripting. Now for the other play calls, all I had to do was change this 1 to a 2 to a 3 to a 4 to a 5 to a 6. Now I added this extra 1 for a 7, basically to say that if you don't have any play call that's unique for the 7th label in that particular group, it will just give you nothing at all. So it's basically just going to pull exclusively the calls that were run in this game. So that's my scripting that I wanted to show you for play call efficiency charts, whether it be just the efficiency, adding some color, and then automating those play calls coming in. Hopefully that was helpful. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. But thank you for watching and have a good day.